What's up, Willowbrook? Today we are in Acts 15, verses 36 through 41. In our passage today, we read about Paul and Barnabas as they decide to go back to the churches that they helped start to check on the believers there. But before they go, Barnabas says he wants to bring his cousin John Mark along in the journey. Now, Paul does not like this at all because Paul remembers when John Mark previously left them on another journey. So they get in a disagreement between Paul and Barnabas, and they can't come to terms with this idea to leave John Mark or to bring John Mark, so they end up separating and going their separate ways. Now, as Christians today, we're obviously no strangers to being in disagreements with other Christians. I mean, unfortunately, the church has been known at times to be a group of people that would split over the color of the carpet or whether or not the church has pews or chairs, or if there's a drum kit or an electric guitar. The fact is that even though we're Christians, we will still find ourselves at times in disagreement with other Christians. So how do we navigate that? What do we do? I want to give you 3 things to keep in mind when you are in a disagreement with another Christian. The first thing is this: be gracious. Say that with me. Be gracious. If you read our passage today, yes, there's a strong disagreement that results in a split between Paul and Barnabas, but it doesn't result in a split in the church. We don't read that Paul is spreading rumors and gossip about Barnabas or vice versa. No, we just read that they went their separate ways. And I think that we can see some grace exhibited there just by the way they responded to the situation. Being gracious doesn't mean we have to agree, but it does mean when we disagree, we need to do it with love and respect. The second thing to keep in mind is that we are supposed to be striving for unity above all else. This was the prayer of Jesus, right? In John 17, that we would be one as Jesus and the Father are one. And though unfortunately we don't see any evidence of this in our passage today, that Paul and Barnabas ended up coming back together and being unified, or Paul and John Mark even. But if we read some of Paul's writings later, such as 1 Corinthians 9 or 1 Peter 5, we do read that Paul seems to have a much different opinion of John Mark, and he still seems to respect and love Barnabas. So it seems that where there was once a separation, that they've now been brought back together and unified, and reconciliation has taken place. And the third and final thing to keep in mind is God is sovereign. God is still sovereign. So even when we disagree, even when we don't agree completely with what another Christian is saying, God is still God. I mean, when you look at this passage, think about this. The beginning of the passage starts with one team on a missionary journey, and that's Paul and Barnabas. But by the end of the passage, there are 2 teams now, 2 missionary teams that are going out, spreading the gospel, building God's kingdom. God is still working all things together for good and for his glory, even when we are in a strong disagreement with another believer. So let's keep that in mind when we get in a disagreement, to be gracious, to strive for unity, and to trust that God is still sovereign, working all things together for good. God bless you. We'll see you next time.